Hello and welcome to China Focus. I'm Shelley Zhang. Now, the Great Firewall is the nickname for China's Golden Shield project, which is designed to monitor and control China's 500 million internet users. So China's internet is full of censorship, but it's also increasingly evident that it's full of hackers as well, some of whom may be linked to China's military. Now, today our guests argued that the issues of censorship and the issues of hacking should actually be looked at as two sides of the same coin. Jason Ma and Chen Zhifei, thank you for joining us today. So, there's been a lot of attention paid recently to the hacking issue. Most recently, there was a article in Bloomberg Business Week about, tracking down one particular Chinese hacker. Was there anything that we learned from this, you think, that people didn't know before?
Yeah, at the end of the article, people admit so much effort would take just hacking, can find one guy and in this whole big machine, and this guy is a professor in a military university, and it's just confirmed what people said before. But how many confirm you have? This is kind of very passive, kind of defensive kind of way to deal with this issue. Everyone knows that's a national behavior. Chinese government is behind it.
They deny it.
I mean, of course they denied it. I mean, they can say, "Oh, I did it, so what?" I mean, they definitely denied it. But for the Western world, definitely, this is not a solution. I mean, you review one guy, they have 1,000 or 3,000 or 100,000 another guy. So there's no way for this to solve the problem. This is too defensive.
I understand from the American legal standpoint, you're innocent until proven guilty. So if you follow that kind of principle or precept, China is still innocent because it's very hard or even impossible to build up enough.
The internet expert was saying that, the hacking expert was saying that it would take you years to build up enough proof to show that this is like a systematic thing that's happening.
Right. And it's also, I guess, by this kind of thing, it's just kind of make sure people understand that that's true, that's Chinese government and the military is behind it. But it's not a solution. The solution should be stronger thing, I think it should be offensive.
So I want to let's
Jason
talk
personally
about,
the football fan of NFL.
So you're going to talk offense.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's talk about, on the other hand, the internet censorship. Like a lot of people, now the hacking is a big deal. Like seems like all the cool kids are getting hacked. Facebook recently announced they're getting hacked as well. But there's not that much attention paid in the West to the issue of the internet control in China. But it's getting worse, isn't it?
Right. I mean, they're not skilled, just go number one to the world. I mean, they control the internet to the point where almost, I post a blog which is just have a little bit of sensitive information, they immediately will remove. And they use unlimited human resource and the new technology to do it. Every year they invest billions renminbi on this. So they are improving their technology every day. But this is the place where I'm talking about offense. I mean, of course, because of the moral standard Western world have, because of the law we have, we cannot counter by hacking Chinese website. What we can do, we go for the right thing to do. We tear down their internet censorship. I mean, by doing this, we can gain a lot.
I think there are two kind of benefits that come with it. First is, by doing this, you will keep those people who would otherwise hack into American systems busy. So they have to watch over their domestic
people.
They
are the same group of people doing this.
So you're saying that people who are hacking into foreign companies, into U.S. companies, into the U.S. government.
They're under the same umbrella inside the Chinese
If you
system.
read a Business Week article more closely, this guy, the protagonist, Zhang Changhe, right, was a professor at China's National Defense Information Engineering University, which is affiliated with PLA. And he was also referred as one member of the Beijing group, which was labeled by the expert here to counter the hacking activity from China. So this guy both hacked American system as well as infiltrating into individual mailboxes of Chinese citizens. So we're talking about one system, one setup that both control the information flow in China and violating the rights of the overseas citizens. So to continue what I wanted to add on to what Jason said, if American launch an offensive, that is to help Chinese people tear down their firewall, to help software here, software engineer here, develop more effective ways to break the internet censorship, then what we're going to see, first of all, is those people will be kept busy. Ms. Zhang Changhe will be confined to local domestic activities. Secondly, experts here would have more evidence, much more data to track down their whereabouts. It would be much easier to track down them. American government would be much easier to build up the case that Chinese government is engaged in a cyber war against the United States.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about hacking outside China and controlling inside China is two sides of one coin. It's because really that's the case. I remember in 2011 when Google saying Chinese government is hacking their Gmail system, most of the target mailbox are those dissident target mailbox. And at this time, New York Times claim Chinese government hacking them because they want to find out who released the information to them about Wen Jiabao's family kind of wealth. So I guess for a lot of kind of people here, they didn't realize a lot of hacking indeed is part of the information control inside. It's an extension of kind of information control inside China to outside China. And hacking is for the purpose to better doing their inside control. And I still remember there is a kind of Chinese news showing a military research institute have developed a software. They are brag like, oh, we have a new research kind of product. The product is basically hacking attack a Falun Gong website outside China. And basically Falun Gong is what they are controlling inside China. So and also from another perspective, every Chinese people, including foreign company inside China, is hacked every day because their information is controlled, is monitored every day. So I guess from this standard, it's a reasonable and righteous offense to go for their internet blockage and censorship.
So you're saying basically the U.S. should help Chinese people jump the firewall to access the internet they can't do.
Right, that will gain popularity for Chinese kind of the U.S. government because recently there is a kind of one guy. His name is he's president of a big university in China. His name is Fang Binxing, and he is kind of supposed to be the father of Chinese the internet control.
He created Golden Shield.
So he's the father of the firewall.
When he kind of was so hated in China, he kind of have one kind of a Twitter, like in China, Weibo, and just kind of saying Happy New Year, something like that. And the response is the tens of thousands of people just saying the most kind of dirty word in China. I mean,
go hike.
Yeah, take a hike, right? But a not nice way of saying take a hike. Yeah.
So if America really it takes the fight to the home court of China, they will win people's heart in China.
So this is a really interesting argument you're making because basically I think there's increasing acknowledgement by the U.S. government that this is a national issue. You know, President Obama mentioned the issue of the hacking in the State of the Union address. There was a national intelligence estimate released that called China like one of the biggest perpetrators of cyber espionage, basically the biggest perpetrator of cyber espionage. But the things that they're suggesting the U.S. can do, analysts are saying, they can launch formal protests, they can expel diplomatic personnel, you can travel restrictions, visa restrictions, complain to the World Trade Organization. This is kind of about foreign, U.S. companies being targeted. So, the U.S. government can do that kind of stuff. What you're suggesting is really something completely different.
I mean, it's too defensive. I mean, just like saying, please don't beat me, please don't beat me. I mean, you can't stop a bullying kind of guy from beating you by saying, please don't beat me.
Except for last part, where you restrict a visa, impose some visa restrictions on those people who contributed Chinese effort in controlling information, controlling internet access, including the guy Jason just mentioned, Mr.
But there are 10,000 another kind of Zhang Changjiang over there. I mean, you can't find out every one of them.
That's true. And I think, according to Pentagon, the cyber war would be definitely the battleground if there were ever a war between the United States and China. And then United States took such a very passive approach, I think probably out of concerns for the commercial interests or whatever. But if you look at how business was done in China, which increasingly rely on internet access because you are offshoring, right? You are, excuse me, operating overseas. And the internet infrastructure was largely diminished in its function because of this information control. We're looking at companies were forced to relocate to elsewhere, their headquarters from China to elsewhere because of the low speed of internet. There was a report that shows that as developed as the Chinese internet system is on surface, you mentioned there were 530 million people. But the internet speed, if you rank it around the world, China would had a dismal performance at 97. And even Malaysia, a much backward country in that regard, had a rank of 71.
So let's talk about, you mentioned earlier that the Chinese people, they don't like the firewall. They would welcome, help. But, can the U.S. go in and just kind of unilaterally,
No, not Chinese is unilaterally hacking your computer everywhere. They didn't really ask you, can I do that? So what the U.S. is doing is he just kind of provide necessary help to promote information freedom. So which is the fundamental kind of thing U.S. government is claiming they are doing.
I agree, because if you look at internet, it's borderless. It's a very loosely held infrastructure that is not governed by any national law or international law, so to speak. Right. There are some very vague worded policy or etiquette about it. So the best the United States can do now is within this framework, given